So, we're on to our second campaign mission and first side mission. This is Indebted, and it's a Garkan mission. Garkan has assumed his dead brother's life debt to the Wookiee Shortaffer, and the rebels have to shut down 3 terminals to deactivate a prison security door so they can complete the mission by rescuing Shortaffer. Imperials simply have to stop them. To start with, Jane, however it's pronounced, uses both activations to rush forward towards the objective. In the first mission, they didn't really concentrate on the objective, so it was pretty kind of close at the end, so I think they're making up for it. However, that rush forward does leave her without any extra actions, and the stormtroopers all pile in and deal up some pretty heavy damage. Needless to say, the rebels aren't going to leave Jin on her own, so Fen rushes forward and fires some shots into the back of a stormtrooper, dealing a little damage, but not enough to dispatch it. The Nexu smells food, so rushes forward and attacks Fen, dealing 1 wound and leaving him bleeding, but to be honest, it wasn't that effective an attack, and it's left him quite vulnerable to a response, which is what comes. Diala basically comes forward first, dealing a few blows, and then Garkan comes forward and finishes off. Some pretty good strategy there to make sure that Garkan didn't get in the way of Diala, and they were able to take a couple of hits on the Nexu, and bye-bye. Of course, Garkan used charge to actually come forward there, so that means he's still got a movement left, so he starts heading towards the second terminal. Elsewhere, Jin takes a couple more shots from the auto turrets that are located near the other terminal. This means she's wounded, which removes one of her special abilities. The rebel celebrations at getting rid of that Nexu were pretty short-lived, as I brought out an elite to take its place. All that being said, Fen has a reputation to keep in games, so he goes and shoots a stormtrooper in the back. My elite Nexu then goes and chases down Garkan, dealing a few damage, before then moving to try and block the way between Garkan and the far terminal. Bad times for the stormtroopers now. Diala rushes forward, damages 1, the other one seeks to activate, but then Jin takes an attack of opportunity and wipes him out. The last stormtrooper retreats, shooting as he goes, and missing, because he's a stormtrooper, and that's what they do. Jin, meanwhile, ignores the stormtrooper stood next to her, and activates a terminal. That's the first one of the 3 gone. Garkan runs past the Nexu, striking it on the way past, before retreating to a safe distance. Does a bit of damage to Nexu and then retreats, making sure that the Nexu can't get him in return. Diala starts a turn, rushing forward, attacking the stormtrooper and dealing a massive 1 damage. Not very effective there. Sorry, Diala. Turns out, this elite Nexu is a bit of a fussy eater, doesn't like hair in its food, so it turns its attention to the rest of the rebel troops, heading forward and dealing a few strikes to Fen. Naturally, Fen doesn't take too kindly to that, so fires a point-blank shot into the face of the Nexu, dealing a little bit of damage. Turns out Stormtrooper, if he's stood still, can actually hit a target, so manages to get some shots off on Diala. Jin seems to be playing her own game, basically ignores the Stormtrooper stood next to her once more, and goes past everybody else and picks up a loot crate. Elsewhere, Garkan is focused on the mission and heads towards the far terminal and deactivates it. That's 2 out of 3 gone now. For his effort, the autogun opens fire on him and deals him 3 wounds. But he's a Wookiee, he can take that. Diala figures the Nexu is the biggest threat, so turns and takes 2 swipe, eradicating it. "Fluffy!" cries the stormtrooper, and lets rip on Diala. 5 shots. Aren't you a little too accurate for a stormtrooper? The hubris gets to him and he rushes forward, heading back towards the prison. Now, my actual thinking here was this would distract them, they'd take shots on the stormtrooper, and therefore less moves towards their target, which sort of worked out. With all of the Imperial forces wiped off the board, ignore that stormtrooper in the left you might have seen there, that was a continuity error, Garkin heads towards the objective, as does Jin. Again taking all of the movement points, which is 4 now as a result of her being wounded. On the way, she heals Diala as well. Penultimate turn, no Imperials on the board, Rebels think they have it easy. Nah, here comes a Nexu. However, Garkin goes, I don't need to pay attention to this, and just storms past it, and deactivates the terminal, opening the door. The door opening triggers even more Imperial reinforcements. This time an E-Web engineer comes rushing out of the forest. And the Nexu is well trained too. He pounces on Garkin, blocking the prison at the same time, and deals a little bit of damage. At this point it's pretty much all or nothing, so Jin rushes forward, fires at the Nexu, and does quite a lot of damage. Basically it's just got 2 hits left, which shouldn't be that hard to do. Meanwhile the E-Web engineer proves that he's from the same training camp as the stormtroopers, and does nothing on 2 rolls against Jin. Fen wants in on the action now, rushes forward and shoots at the E-Web engineer, and misses. Diala at the back, meanwhile, figures everybody else has got this covered, so goes and picks up the loot crate. This mission is all about Garkin and his life debt, and he proves it right at the end. He takes health damage to force his way past the Nexu, striking it as he goes, killing it, and then rescues the prisoner, honouring his life debt. He leaves with just 1 health left, else he would have been wounded.